So as per syllabus, this is exercise number 6. Fine. That is working with CSV. So firstly, let us understand what do you mean by CSV. So when we talk about CSV, this is comma separated values. Fine. So how CSV file looks like, for that let me open my notepad. So as you can see on this is my CSV file in which all the values are separated by comma. And what happens when we are performing data analysis? Sometimes when we import data from external sources, because we have to work with lot of data and we are exporting the data from a number of sources. So in that case, it may happen that the file that we have downloaded from any of the resource, it is CSV file. So what happens in that case is we have to use this CSV file in our R programming language. So let me tell you a few things that I have done before performing this practical. The one thing that I have done is I have created this CSV file in the notepad. I have pasted this data. This is pre-pasted data in this, and I have saved this data in one of my R. I have created a desk on the desktop R folder here. So in this I have stored this file as sample.csv. Fine. So this is the file that is available on my desktop in this folder. This folder is named as R folder. Fine. I have made this for simplicity purpose. Now what I have done, after this, firstly, when we are working on any of the file, fine, just like any other programming required while working with any of the file, any of the data source, whether we want to use that data file or we want to save that data file, we have to go with the one thing that is setting of the working directory. So in that case, what we say? We say setting of working directory. Setting of working directories. This is the first thing that we need to do. So let us firstly set the working directory in R. If we want to set working directory in R, the command is set wd, and inside this set wd I have to give the path for my R folder. As I have already copied this path, so I will copy my path from here. So this is, I will specify the path in C drive, in users, HP, desktop, R is my file, a folder in which I am going to work. So I will set my working directory to this, done. And now let me check whether this directory is currently active or not. So for that I can print the working directory. I will use the command print, and for this I will use get wd, that is get working directory. So let us print the result. So here you can see the working directory has been set to desktop R. This is my working directory, and where we have stored this CSV file. Our CSV file was named as sample.csv, which we are going to use today. So for that we will be using this file. Fine. So after this setting of the working directory, so I suggest you the same thing to all of you. You can just create one folder for working with Excel files, for working with CSV files, and for working with XML files. So for that you can create a folder named RXYZ, whatever folder you want to name. Just give that name and set that as the working directory. Fine. Once this is done, now you can have a look at the content of my this file. So you can see it consists of ID, name, salary, start date, start department, and then department, and then all the values are separated by comma. Fine. So now once we have set the directory, next thing is what we have to do is we have to read the CSV file. Read the CSV file. So when I want to read this CSV file, what I need to do, I will create one vector. Let me call it data1. And inside this data1, I will read. For reading the CSV file, the inbuilt function that is used is read.csv. So read.csv is inbuilt function that reads the file in the table format. We are having comma separated file. And from that comma separated file, when we import that file into R, that file will look like a table format file inside the R. And also it can create, we can create a data frame for the same file with the cases corresponding to the lines and variables as rows and numbers. Fine. So once this is done, next we need not to give the complete path as we have already set the working directory. So the thing that we need to do is we will mention the file name over here. A file was sample.csv. Just let's run it. So this is done. That is inside the data1 vector. We have read the file as sample.csv. Now for this, let's print the result. Let's see how it looks like. Now we have imported the CSV file inside the R, and inside the R, this file has been uploaded as a tabular form. So let's print this. We will print it via using print data1. So here you can see it just looks like a data frame, and it is like it is present in the tabular form over here. Now once this is done, next is we will perform some analysis. Let us analyze this file. Analyze the CSV file now. For this we will perform a few things. Let us see how many rows and columns are there. Suppose you want to print number of columns, so the command is n column data1. Data1 is my name of the CSV vector in which I have read the CSV file, and n col means n number of columns we want to print. So let's print it. So it shows total number of columns are 5 in this case. Fine. And now suppose if we want to print the total number of rows that are available, for that the command will be n row. N row will present the number of rows present in a particular data frame. So I will use same data frame, that is data1. Now here you can see total 8 rows are there. As we can see, total 8 rows were there in this data frame. So the number printed is 8. Now we were before doing this, when we were importing the CSV file, we discussed one thing, and that thing was whenever we import CSV file inside R, it is in the tabular form and it is in the form of a data frame. So let's verify what the statement that we have said. So for doing verification, we need to check whether that is a data frame. So we can use this command s.data.frame. Now is this to check whether this something is true or something is false. And what we are checking whether it is a data frame or not. And for the data frame, we use the function named as data.frame. So same thing I have done over here. Now inside this function, I will use the name of the data frame, data1. So let's check. It is returning true. It means the file that we have imported is of type data frame. So we have validated and we have confirmed that the data file is presented in the form of a data frame. Fine. So let's proceed further. Now let's perform few queries on this. That is querying the imported CSV file. The file that we have imported, we will perform certain queries on this. So let me call this query number 1. My first query says I want to print maximum salary. And then for that, what we can do, let's call all these results as Q1 result. So I'm calling it Q1, and inside the Q1 vector, what I will do, I will use the inbuilt function, that is max, because I'm returning the maximum salary. So this is inbuilt function max, and for this, what I need to do, I have to access which vector? I have to access data frame data1. And now which column I want to access in this case? I have to access the column named as salary. So whenever we want to access any column with its name, we use which symbol? $sign symbol. So with this, I will mention the name of the column, that is salary. So let's run this query. We have successfully compiled. Now let's print the result of this. So I will do print Q1. Fine. So let's run this. So maximum salary in that case is 843. Same thing you can do for minimum. Let's change this to minimum. Minimum. Now it will print the minimum salary. So let's run this query again. Now you can see the minimum salary in this case is 515.2. So with the help of inbuilt function maximum and minimum, you can print the salary maximum value or minimum value of the column. Next, let's perform query number 2. Let's say my query, second query is about I want to get the details of the person which who is having minimum salary. Fine. So that is get the details of person with minimum salary. Fine. So how can I write this query? This is my query number 2. So let me name the vector as Q2 itself. So what I need to do after defining this thing, I have to use one function. This function is known as subset function. Let me tell you brief about the subset function. So whenever we use a subset function, it returns subset of vectors, it returns subset of matrices, it returns subset of data frame. What is a subset? Subset means some values from a complete subset, complete set. That is a part of a subset. So if I want to return a few records from a matrix, that will be a subset of matrix. If I'm returning a few records from the vectors, it will be a subset of vector in that case. So for doing that, we have inbuilt function, built-in function, and that function is known as subset function. So start the brackets for defining the parameters of subset function. So before after this, the first argument that we need to pass is the name of the object. And in my case, my object is Jetta1. So I'm using Jetta1. Now what I need to do, I have to write the condition on this. My condition is on salary column. So I will write the condition salary equal to which salary? I want to print the detail or record of all the employees with minimum salary. So I will use min of salary in this case. Let's run this query. Uh, so here we will be using hyphen. Done. Now what happens in the Q2 result vector? We have record of all the employees who is getting minimum salary. If minimum only one person is getting minimum salary, then only one record will be returned. If more than one person, suppose n persons are getting minimum salary, and then it will return record of all those n employees. Fine. So let's print the result of this. So we will print Q2. Let's have a look at the output. It looks like this. There was only one employee. We have already checked that the minimum salary is 515 and it has returned the record of all the employees with minimum salary. Same thing you can do for maximum salary. You can write over here is maximum. And so same way you can do a number of other queries also. Let's perform next query. Let's call it query number 3. And my suppose query 3, it says that all employees who work in IT department. Fine, I want list of employees who works in IT department. So I will change the condition like this. Let me call it Q3. And inside Q3, I will again use the variable that is that subset function. So I will access Jetta1 for this, and my condition is on which column? My condition is on department column. So I will write the name of the column, that is department, and I will perform the comparison. So what I need to retrieve? I need to retrieve where department is IT. So I will mention it in double quotes because this is a character value. So let's run it. It has successfully compiled. Now let's print the result of this query. What you need to do? You will print Q3. So here you can see there are a total 3 employees who works for this IT department. Fine. So let's try to execute few more queries. Let's write one more query. That is query number 4, and this query is on date type column. Fine. Now the column is of date time. So let's do get the list of employees who joined the company on in 2014 or later. Now what does this query means? This query means we have to get the list of all the employees, the record of all the employees who joined the company in 2014 or later, means after 2014. So how can I do this? Let me create another query vector. Let me call it Q4 in this case. So what I need to do is, again I have to retrieve subset of this. So I will use the function subset in this case. After that I will specify the name of the object. In this case it's a data vector. And what is the query condition in this case? In this case my query condition is on a date column. So when my query is to be fired on a date column, so I have to specify the function as date. Just like when we created a data frame, we use as date function. So similarly here we will use as date function. So as date, where start date is my column name, which is specifying the starting date of the employee. I will specify it that is greater than sign, which is greater than as dot date. Now I will specify the date. Let me check the format is like this. Firstly year, then followed by month and followed by date. So we are talking about year only. So we can take the date as January. So we will take the year 2014, month January, and then year January. So now here you can have a look what is happening inside this query. It is saying if from the data frame is named as data1, we will specify the as date condition where start date is greater than, which it is greater than which value? It is greater than January 2001, January 2014. It can be this value or it can be even more than this value. So let's run this query. So now let's print the result of this query. Query is successfully compiled. Now let's print it. So print Q4. So here you can see, have a look at the number of records that are returned. So it has returned the record of all the employees who have joined either in 2014 or later. They may have joined 2014 or they may have joined later 2014. Okay, fine. Now let's do one query. And in this case, this query, let me call it query number 5. Fine. And this query is about compound condition. Means using more than one condition in the query. So let's call it get the persons or get the record of all the persons of IT department and whose salary is greater than, let us say, 500. Fine. So let's try to write the query. How can we write this query? So we will do, firstly define one vector. Let me call it Q5 itself. And inside this, again, I will use the subset function. And then in subset, first the argument is my name of the data frame. And then I will write down the condition. I have two conditions in this case. My first condition says department is IT. So I will write department IT. Then I will specify and here I will specify salary greater than 500. So let's try to run this. Done. Now let's print the result of this query. So for that we will print Q5 in this case. So here you can see, based on this query, just a minute. Sorry, we have to specify less than, we have to check for greater than, because for greater than all employees are having this condition is getting false. So here we have to check where salary is less, salary, we are checking for greater than itself. And in this case, what we are doing, we are saying where salary is greater than 500, this is the condition, and we have to use single time. By mistakenly we have written 2 times. So let's run it. Now here you can see, in this all the employees record is returned whose department is IT and whose salary is greater than 500. So you can combine the query, you can write this query multiple times, whatever the condition is, you can go with that, you can add n number of conditions as you want, as per your requirement. Fine. So this was about importing CSV files and analyzing the CSV file, getting the data from the CSV files. Now let's do the opposite to this, that is writing into CSV file. Writing. Yes, Fateh, yes.
मैम सिंगल एंड और डबल एंड में क्या डिफरेंस है?
Oh, by mistake I have written double end. Double end is not acceptable in this. We have to go with single end only. That's why it was giving error when I wrote double and it the query didn't run successfully. So after that I changed it to double and. I got confused with the SQL query. That's why by mistakenly I have put that. That was the reason it didn't give any result. Fine. So we never use double and, we use single and. But when we are using this operator, this is different, because if we use single equality, it is treated as assignment operator, and if we want to use comparison operator, then we use double times equal to. But this AND operator, which is a Boolean operator, it will work single times only. Fine.
Okay, ma'am.
So next, let us do writing into a CSV file. Writing into a CSV file. So when we want to write into a CSV file, so here it means we are having a file. It may be of any category. Now we want to do opposite of this. Now let us say this query Q5. It is returning us 3 records. Suppose we have created this as a view, and we want to return this values as a CSV file, which can be used for some other purpose, like somewhere else we can't use this data frame, because data frames are used for our purpose. Now let us think, we want this output, means this output as a CSV file for some other purpose. So it means we have to write this file into a CSV file. So this can also be done. We can import from CSV file as well as we can export as a CSV file. So you can say writing into a CSV file, or you can call it exporting into a CSV file. So suppose we want to export it as a CSV file. For that, the function is write.csv. For importing, the function name is import read.csv. For writing, it is write.csv. So for this, what we need to do, firstly we need to check what we want to write. In this case, we were saying we will write these values as CSV files. So this result is in Q5 vector. So I will specify Q5 over here. Fine. After this, second argument that I need to pass will be the name of my CSV file. So let me call it, let me call result1. Fine, result1.csv. This will be the name of my file. That is, res1 will be the name of my CSV file. So now where this file will be stored? This file will be stored into R folder, because our working directory is R right now. So whenever this command will be run successfully, we will check into the R folder after running this. So done. So now let's go back to the desktop and open the R folder. So this is R folder. Now here you can see this is res1. res1 is available. This is the file that we have exported from this location, from this Q5 file. We have imported it as a CSV file, which can be used if somewhere you want to use CSV file. You can do your work in R language. After that, you can store the result as a CSV file, which you can use for other softwares also. Wherever CSV file is compatible, you can go with that. And so this is the purpose of writing the CSV files. Fine. Now let's do one more thing. Create data frame from a CSV file. Sorry, from the current vector. You can say simply creating a data frame. Now here we can create a data frame. So like suppose I'm using the same result of the subqueries. So I can do it right this way. Just let me use the function. Let me print this file once. Let me print res1. So can I print this res1? Yes. Now you can see when I try to print this res1, it will change into some other format because of being this file. So if I want to access this inside the file, I have to re-import that file from that CSV file. So in this case, what I can do is I have to go with one option. Let me call it data2. And inside this data2, I will read the CSV file. I will do read CSV. And which file I want to read? We have used res1.csv. So we will do res1.csv. So after running this, now I can print. Now I will print what? Print data 2, in which I have read this CSV file. So let's print this. Now here you can see this output is coming. But have a look at this. One additional field is coming. Have a look at the output. So in the output, you can see it one column. This was the desired column. IT column was there. Name, salary, and all these column were there. But one more column was coming in addition. That is the X column. So can anyone tell me what is this X column? This is coming from the data set. But what is the purpose of this column? You can see this column is coming as row IDs. So this is the ID. This ID is basically a column. This is present in our data frame. But this one more column 136 is coming. Fine. So this 136 defines the rows number. So you can say this is coming in addition as a row identity. Fine. But you can say 123 is also coming. So because this is a new data frame, we don't need these rows numbers. So because we need only 123 row number, because this is a subset and this is a small view of the data. So if we are talking about this view data2, this data2 consists of only 3 rows. So I don't need 136 as the row numbers because my row number for data2 are 1, 2, 3. So you can ignore this column. For that you have to use the data function, and that data function is named as row names should be set to false because these are the name of the rows. In the previous lab we discussed one thing, that in that case we discussed that whenever we talk about data frame, it has few characteristics. One characteristic is each and every row inside a data frame has a row name. So these are basically the row names. And if we don't want this additional row name and we want to keep 1, 2, 3 as the row names, then we can ignore this value. For that we can work like this. Let me write the code again. What I need to do, I will write this thing, write.csv, and inside this write.csv, what I am doing, I am using where was this file, Q5. So I am writing for Q5. So I will write Q5 comma, then I will specify this file name. I will copy from here only. So let me delete extra inverted commas from this. We need just a minute. Here. And in addition to this, I will specify this additional parameter that says row dot names is equal to false. Now, when I have used this additional parameter that is row dot names equal to false, it will remove this additional X column which is acting as the names of the rows. So let's run this. Now we have done this. Now let's do this. Let's run this command once again. Done. Now let's print data2 now. Print data2. So here you can say now our X column in addition that was earlier printed is not coming right now. So the reason behind this is earlier X column was in addition to coming as additional row name column, which is not at all required in this case. So that can be eliminated by adding additional parameter that is row names is equal to false. So any confusion or any doubt in these queries in working with the CSV files? Remember, CSV files are very much required in whether you may be working in Python, you may be working in any of the platform like in R, but we are in the need of CSV files. So,
Excuse me,
yes, beta.
ma'am.
Yes, Vasi,
Ma'am,
bolo.